Hello everybody, and welcome to today's presentation by yours truly, Anti-Catholic, and today we are going to be talking about the End of Evangelion as an image of the Rapture. Basically, this presentation is going to be on how I view the End of Evangelion's imagery and that kind of stuff as kind of a prelude almost to what I'm expecting for the Rapture in a lot of ways. So why would I choose Evangelion for this? So there's many similarities and there's still a few differences between Evangelion's depiction of a rapture kind of like event compared to the actual scriptural rapture. A lot of that has to do with incomprehensible imagery factoring into both the rapture and also the end of Evangelion. The main idea of this is that I'm going to be talking about how there's a lot of beauty actually in a scenic end, which is what the End of Evangelion is. And lastly, there's a lot of lessons and key takeaways to take away from both how End of Evangelion ends and also how we know/think the Rapture is going to end. First, if you don't know what the Rapture is, it's basically the end of the world in a lot of cases, or the end of humanity on the world. It's kind of vague in a lot of ways. There's stuff about renewing the earth, but I don't think it's really specifically mentioned in Revelation or any of these other things. But these two verses, one is from Revelation, and these keep giving us a few things to take away from the biblical representation of what a rapture would be. So key takeaway is, I should put my pointer here, but I don't have it out right at the moment. So basically testing the inhabitants of the earth. So it's for the purpose of sparing the faithful from all of these tests that are going to be coming as the end of the world comes. So pretty much there's a lot of Bible prophecy and other stuff. I didn't have time to compile a whole list of all of that, but it basically has a lot of things that are going on currently in the world, if you know, with Israel wars, that kind of stuff, the war with Russia, that kind of stuff. It could vaguely be tying into some apocalyptic kind of stuff, or hints at to us getting closer to the end times. A lot of modern stuff and advancement that's coming out or will be out in the next 4 or 5 years in the future is also going to tie into a lot of the end times kind of stuff as well. But also, the imagery of the rapture is quite interesting according to the Bible. So there's going to be great signs of the Son of Man in heaven, and he's going to be coming on the clouds of heaven with power and glory. And he also sends angels basically as harbingers to proclaim that he's actually going to be arriving. So very interesting. This is basically the most solid stuff that we know about the rapture. So End of Evangelion has quite a few similarities with the Rapture also, one of those being the iconic Fanta, basically the fluid that everybody gets turned into, and then they all meld together and their whole consciousness kind of ooze together, So basically that is also similar to how the Rapture kind of works, where everybody gets connected finally into the body of Christ, basically.
Women love men.
What millennium are you from, idiot?
It also has a common aspect of the destruction of the world. So basically the world doesn't make it out unscathed completely. There's great destruction, but also kind of renewal, I guess you could say. Another thing that's in common is the angel harbingers, or the angels having to do with stuff. So they kind of appear first. They're the ones that basically proclaim that the entrance of this world-ending kind of event. So very cool imagery, very cool End of Evangelion tie-ins. There are still some differences. One of those main things being is that it lacks hope, basically lacks a Christ-like figure in the middle of it. You could kind of argue that Shinji could be the Christ-like figure here, but he doesn't really portray a lot of the good qualities that you'd need for that. Rei, or Big Rei, basically we're called, probably could be a tie-in for this, although that's more of more of a destruction kind of thing. Although you could view it as salvation, but beyond human understanding pretty much. But another main difference is there probably won't be any giant naked women in the Rapture, but there is an End of Evangelion. So I mean, End of Evangelion's got that going for it. Unknown differences. Once again, we don't really know the full scale of what the Rapture will be because it's not occurred yet, but we know how End of Evangelion goes because that has occurred. So there's probably very many unknown differences and stuff. One thing that I think will be different though is that like in even End of Evangelion they portray like all the consciousness melding together as like, oh, everybody's life gets evaluated by every single person in the world kind of thing. So it's kind of weird, at least how well, both the end of the TV show version of Evangelion and also the End of Evangelion kind of goes into a little bit of the like oh, it's just like a world, but everybody's consciousness is all at one. So it's kind of like a dream state, but everybody's connected all at the same time, all doing all sorts of things, which could be a lot of how it is, but I think it's going to be a lot more grand and understandable than that. Which brings me to the next point, which is it's going to be incomprehensible. Yeah, End of Evangelion has a lot of like incomprehensible things, being from like the angels pretty much appearing, doing all the wacky stuff with all the symbol type stuff, all the souls basically, how that would even look, if it even looks like anything, how do you even able to perceive stuff in the Rapture. It's going to be kind of very interesting. The third impact itself is one of those things where it's like is very interesting to understand pretty much. And also the bottom image right here, basically the ending of the movie, where Shinji is like choking Asuka pretty much because he like doesn't understand and that kind of stuff. It is kind of very interesting because it's pretty much just a very incomprehensible thing. Like a lot of people don't comprehend what and why this is occurring basically. And stuff doesn't always necessarily have to have specific reasons either, so it is kind of interesting as well. But one key verse right here is Matthew 25:13. Watch therefore, because you don't know the hour, the day, nor the hour when the Son of Man will return. He could be returning today, he could be returning tomorrow, who knows? You wouldn't know, pretty much. You wouldn't be able to be like, ah, yes, I can tell that he's going to be here 2 days and 3 hours from now. You couldn't be like that. Because also, part of what ties into this is that, like, he basically is going to want to save as many people as he can. Like, he has a plan going for this. And, like, yeah, like, for the sake of redeeming as many people as possible, all of his faithful, like, he's going to definitely have patience and mercy on all of us, which is quite the gift, pretty much. So, both on not knowing when it's going to come and also knowing when it's going to come would be kind of counterintuitive almost, I guess. And also, this brings me to the final topic of the beauty of a scenic end, which is what I think End of Evangelion perfectly portrays in its art, in its animation, in its storytelling, in its psychology, in its pretty much everything. It's a very, very good film. It's got lots of crazy kind of stuff that happens in it, and it basically elevates my mind to thinking about things that are beyond humanity, are incomprehensible to humanity, and basically elevates my heart and my trust in Christ up to new heights, I guess you could say. Like, the first time I watched this movie, that was still back in my old days of kind of, you know, sketchy kind of stuff, being kind of a bad person in a lot of ways. I've come a long way from then, but I remember End of Evangelion, like, having such an impression on me the first time I watched it. I was like, this is truly something special and beautiful. So, it's very cool, and I love it when shows go for the ending where, like, oh, everything just goes to chaos and there's not really a happy ending or anything. End of Evangelion's one, Devilman Crybaby is another one. I have yet to rewatch Devilman Crybaby for obvious reasons. It's very graphic in a lot of ways. End of Evangelion's more so not, like, on the graphic side, I guess. Or, like, obscene side, I would say. Like, there's a difference between obscenity and just, like, beauty, I guess, of what is beautiful, I guess. Which End of Evangelion focuses on that. Devilman Crybaby is more on the obscene side. But I might make a video on it eventually because it is one of those series where it's like, it is a very contentious and heavily like religiously influenced kind of, especially like Catholic influenced kind of series, so I'm gonna make a video on that as well. So key takeaways, basically, the idea is preparing for the end of all earthly things by storing treasure in heaven. I think that's a typo. Maybe. I don't know. I can't tell. I'm dyslexic slightly. Not particularly too dyslexic, but I just don't like spelling words properly sometimes. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so basically focus on things that are going to endure the end of the earth. So be loyal to Jesus Christ, who saves all who call upon his name for salvation. Yeah, if you trust he's going to save you, he definitely will. I have no doubt in my mind that he will. Even the aspects of like anime will fade in the light of Christ's return. So basically, how I also like to think about this is like, because I guess everything, their whole earthly experience is with you, so it's not like it's just gonna be deleted like that, I guess. But I don't know. Like, there's a lot of like corruption that is with anime. A lot of its influence is kind of corrupting in a lot of cases. It is one of those weird things. So like, yeah, but anime, it's originated from the world, I guess you could say, but it can be a reflection of Jesus and basically the divine. It can be a reflection of that. So I think mostly all of the aspects that are basically from the divine or from the origin basically would be saved and endure because they are good. So if all good things endure, that would make sense, with all of the evil things, I guess, being perfectly resisted, I guess you could say. So if anything, like, you'd have people watching anime, I guess you could say. I wouldn't really call it watching anime. You don't know how it actually would work completely, because also in heaven it's pretty much just like complete 124/7 out of time kind of praise of God, basically. But it would be kind of interesting how that all works once you get into heaven, and once that is fulfilled, I guess. Like, what is the fulfillment of anime is really the question. And like, what purpose does it serve? It probably doesn't. It probably actually falls into, I'm gonna get off a tangent here, but it probably falls into kind of the category of like the sacrament of marriage as well, where like it has an earthly purpose more so, and also a divine purpose. But the earthly purpose is pretty much, doing the thing, procreating, that kind of stuff, allowing new souls to be born. But in heaven, it's not really, there's no real need for that completely, but the unitive kind of aspect still remains. Like, the souls are still bonded together in weird ways. So it's kind of interesting that, like, yeah, like maybe anime doesn't really serve a purpose in heaven, but maybe like the experiences and the, well, not the experience completely, but like the idea and lessons from it kind of endure pretty much. And also, basically, if you think that the end of Evangelion is beautiful, then you're probably going to think the Rapture is going to be beautiful as well, because I guarantee you it is going to be something far, far greater and more terrifying than the end of Evangelion is, which is very, very exhilarating. So quite crazy. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please like it down in the comments section below. Also remember to subscribe. I know it has been quite a while since I've actually made a lot of these videos, but I am probably going to start getting back into the swing of things. I have like 1 or 2 more videos planned for this year, but then as soon as we hit 2024, I'm probably going to actually start making a lot more anime and Catholicism videos, as well as slightly some other stuff. Like, once I get around to watching more Fate stuff, I'll probably make some like Fate impressions videos. Any new anime that I watch, I'll probably talk about a little bit. But yeah, right now I'll also give you a little sneak peek. I am actually working on a Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind kind of thing. I spelled that wrong, obviously, but that's a Studio Ghibli film. If you didn't know, I'm also going to be talking about that, uh, and that's similarities or like imagery that you can kind of tie into the Return of Christ, I guess you can say. So it's gonna be kind of cool. But yeah, anyway, that's it for me, Anti-Catholic. I will catch you all next time. Peace be with you.